Okay, so Michaelin is getting her mic on.
Testing.
Thought I was just getting stung by something. Go ahead and tell them where we are.
All right, you guys, we are in Sedona, Arizona right now, and we'll have to put like a clip of the view in because it is like stunning what we're staring at. You guys are going to be staring at us. Lucky you.
But we'll get you guys a little clip of this. But this is kind of our spot that we always come back to. And I say when we always, really this is our second time. But I'm not sure that we will really deviate from this hotel. It's like such it's like such a beautiful view. It's right off the road. There's restaurants all around. I think we've really enjoyed it. It's quiet. That's what we're really seeking out in Sedona.
It's close to all the hiking. We pretty much just walk once we get here. We park and then we find our way from there. But today is Saturday, June 29th, and it is UFC 303, which is actually ironic. It's
the Colorado area
Colorado,
code.
yeah.
So ironic.
How ironic.
So it's UFC 303. This was supposed to be McGregor versus Chandler.
But McGregor broke his pinky toe, so he's out.
Michaelin's a little pissed about it.
No judgment. I could not ever get in that, like, couldn't be me ever. But I'm just saying, if that was my livelihood, I mean, not that he needs the money, but if that was my
you're that dog, though.
career, I'd put the pinky toe aside.
But you're also that one-stripe white belt savage.
I'm that one-stripe white belt, yeah.
Yeah, so you would have fought.
I know all the ins and outs.
But even if you had all the money in the world, you would have fought? Like, he's got all the money in the world.
Let's just say this.
This is a legacy fight, you know?
Well, yeah, if I was coming back, I think after I broke my leg, if I had all the money in the world and I didn't really love it anymore, I would have just like called it a day then.
But I think he does love it. I think he really needs to win. And so to go in there and fight Michael Chandler, who's a killer in there,
He's a savage.
A savage. Like, that's a dangerous fight to do when you're not 100%. And he did the same thing. He says against Khabib. And went in there with a broken foot. And so he's like, I'm not making the mistake again, especially because this could be the end of his career.
That's fair. This is for his legacy. This isn't for money. But maybe I'm being a little selfish. Maybe I wanted a McGregor fight.
I respect that.
Sue me.
So Alex, this little side note for you. Alex Pereira was interviewed, and they asked him about the McGregor thing. And he said, McGregor has basically done all his work. Like, he has created the legacy. And so he gets to politely choose if he wants to fight and if it's the right fight for him. But Alex Pereira said he is still working to build that legacy. And so he doesn't necessarily get to pull out of fights because he had a broken pinky toe as well, or a broken toe, and still fought on it. But he's like, I have to do that because I'm building my legacy. McGregor's legacy is cemented. And, like, he will forever be great. And so...
Also, politely, if it weren't for McGregor, I might not be into the UFC.
True. Which is, like, a great introduction into how we got into this. Michaelin was not really into the UFC. It was Conor McGregor's, like, first fight back, fighting Cowboy Cerrone. And...
I thought the UFC was, like... I don't know how to say this, but I just pictured it, like... If I had to, before I actually understood what the UFC was, if I had to put like 3 words to it, it was ring girls, monster, and big trucks. Like, that's what I thought was like the vibes.
Yeah, we so at MMA Lab, where we train jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, they have like Muscle Farm logos all over. And for anybody watching this, like, Muscle Farm used to be the supplement. So when you say monster, I'm like, dude, same. Like, Muscle Farm is... It's crazy to think that was once, like, the UFC's a big part of the brand. And when I was growing up, that was like the supplement, the protein powder you would buy. Everybody in high school took Muscle Farm.
What?
And now Muscle Farm is like irrelevant. But yeah, the UFC's been around. When Joe Rogan started with the UFC, the guy had hair. You believe that?
And he was coming off Fear Factor, right?
Fear Factor. But so Michaelin and I watched this fight. We're watching it on FaceTime. And Michaelin has no frame of reference on anything for the UFC. I love the UFC. I love the fight game. I have no experience with it. I just love it. and we sit down, and I like have her make all of her picks for who she thinks is gonna win.
I just looked at their photo. I can see it in their eyes.
She can see it in their eyes.
No.
Michaela is kind of the chosen one when it comes to seeking out talent.
Yeah, right.
You're good.
In moments.
We'll tell them what happened.
I didn't have one miss. I didn't miss.
She went undefeated from the prelims, the very first prelim, to the last fight. Every single fight she picked right.
With zero context.
And honestly, we should go back to that card and see all the winners and calculate the odds and see what that would have won if you just put $10 on that.
Yeah.
Like, Michaela was picking underdogs when she had no business picking these people. They should not win, and they won. And then she picks McGregor, and like he just dismantles Cowboy Cerrone. And I'm pretty sure if she would have put $10 on it, I'm just throwing a number out there, but it would have been like $350,000.
What?
She would have made probably.
That
It was like
been
some
rich.
crazy parlay where she went like 17 for 17. And I'm like, I'm dating a savant. And
that's when I locked him in for life.
and that's when we fell in love with the UFC. So since then, every Saturday is like a holiday.
True.
And what do
Some better than others.
Some are better than others. Some of them are fight nights with people we don't really care about.
But when we were doing long distance, that was our way to like do something together every Saturday. That wasn't just like, let's just sit on FaceTime and like, you know, not that sitting on FaceTime was bad, but when you do long distance for years, this isn't like you get to just like hang out with your person. Like you are like talking and do like, you have to be so intentional with your time. There's no just like being in the same room and hanging out.
Yeah.
And so Saturday night, date night, of course we would talk and everything, but we were like, this is like something that we would probably otherwise want to do if we
We're together.
Yeah.
It's like finding little ways to be intentional with the time that we spend together. And so we would like schedule its fight night. And so Michaelin's like not going out with her friends, and I'm like staying in, and we're choosing to be on Zoom or FaceTime, and we're screen sharing, watching the fights together. We make our picks together.
We would each have like a dinner that we were eating.
Yeah, and we don't realize it, but those are like extremely transformational moments where we're like enjoying these together, and we can speak to these fights, and then we go and we watch Alex Pereira in person against Israel Adesanya, and we go to Nate Diaz, and we go against Tony Ferguson, and like we have a history with it, and then we get into jiu-jitsu because of it. And I think it just was like so helpful for our relationship, especially because like we're in different states. At one point we were in different countries, and it was like something that was consistent, that was a consistent date for us, that we were both excited about, we both appreciated. And like Michaela has no experience with this, so she purely just appreciates it because I loved it, and she gave it like a really fair chance, and like she was open, and you loved it, and you really do enjoy it.
I have to say, if you are a girl trying to get into your man's sport, you gotta find like the little ways to feel like you're like make it like a little girly thing. Like I like it because I appreciate it now, but originally it's because of the embedded. Like I got to like, embeds are vlogs beforehand, so I got like attached to these people. And it wasn't just like watching them like fight. Like I was like, oh my gosh, he has like a wife and kids, or like, oh my gosh, he's from Colorado and trains up the road, or is like
Golden,
running Red Rocks, or
like Justin Gaethje's running Red Rocks, and Michaelin's like, I'm a Gaethje guy.
Yeah, Rose, like I don't know, you have to like find your ways. Like with football, like what is that show called? Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks, good job.
Like go watch Hard Knocks if your man loves football.
What did we watch with the Patriots? Like the behind the scenes.
What was that?
But it's like you're getting to see the behind the scenes with the dynasty, I think.
Yes.
And Michaelin's like rattling off who Robert Kraft is to her dad, and like it's awesome. You know, I'll put this out there. Michaelin is like the greatest trooper. When I was playing baseball, she would like come to all my lessons my training. Lessons too. If I had,
they were.
Yeah, honestly.
Training is lessons, but the way that came off just made me giggle.
But we would, like, I would be throwing bullpens melting down, and Michaelin's like holding a radar gun behind me. Or like we built a mound. Michaelin helps me build a mound during COVID, and she's pulling me down the mound with my core velocity belt. We'll have to find the video and link it here, but she's pulling me down this mound, and it's like 11 p.m. and I'm melting down. I can feel like my career slipping from my fingers, and she's like, "It's okay," and I'm like mother effing myself. And so Michaelin's like always been a trooper. She's participated in fantasy football and cared about it. She like
getting watery-eyed over here. Come on.
We're doing a pitch design session, which for anybody who doesn't know, like as a pitcher, you'll go and you'll throw a bullpen. Maybe it's like sub-maximal. So instead of throwing like full effort, I will go a bullpen strictly on curveballs, me trying to dial in my curveball. And I will be at this facility by myself trying to figure out how to get better. And Michaelin is holding a camera behind the mound like this in slow-mo, me seeing like where the ball is popping out of my hand or where it's breaking, and I would throw like 50 throws, which is probably 30 throws more than I was supposed to, trying to spin my curveball. And I'm melting down. I think 90% of the time I was melting, but Michaelin's like my voice of reason. She's helping me to see the video. She's helping me to get the right videos. She's making sure that it's in the right position so that we can see where my pelvis is, where my foot lands. Like Michaelin has always been so willing to try to understand and to care about the things that I care about. And so I think it's like why we're 5 years in and we're best friends and we truly enjoy everything together.
We love to hang out together.
Yeah, but it's
also,
a testament to you though. Like you have really been so willing to care about the things that I care about, you know?
Thanks, babe. But also, like, likewise, like, you've done the same things. I drag you to my Legree classes or Pilates or spin, even when it, like, hurts your butt a little bit.
Yeah, I get a little sore.
But also, you let me go to, like, your trainings. Like, you let me be the one to hold your video. You let me, like, in on those things. Like, he's having to like teach me what a curveball is while trying to figure it out himself, and he's like frustrated and like going through it, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is supposed to look like.
And I'm talking to her about like spin access and spin efficiency and like what's a good like, and she's like listening and trying to care, and she's like, oh, that one was like 100% efficiency in your curveball, like that's what we're chasing, right? And your spin is 2800. Like what? That's really good. That's what we were going after. And like Michaelin gets it.
But you taught me.
Yeah.
But actually, this is funny that we were talking about this because I knew zero about baseball before I dated you. Like, I thought baseball was, in the most polite way possible, the most boring sport ever, because I didn't even know that there were like different pitches. Like, I just thought, this is like so ignorant. I just thought the pitcher like went up there and just threw it. Like, I don't know what, like.
You just thought everything was fastballs, straight pitches.
I just thought like get it through.
You just didn't know.
Get it to not get hit. But I found on my phone this morning a screen recording.
It was like 8 days before we were dating, right?
It was 10 days exactly before we started actually officially dating, of a screen recording of different pitches and how they move, because I was like, I literally don't know what this like slider thing is, or curveball or fastball, and how fast they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because one time you told me like your slider was like a certain miles per hour, and I was like, we got to get that up. And you were like, that's actually really good. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But you're trying, right? And
so that's when I learned. I had to figure some things out.
And now we like look at our like, I can show her a video from like a pitcher's perspective, and like a pitch will move a certain way, like it might run in a little bit, and Michaelin's like, oh, that's a changeup. Or like, oh, that's a slider. Or like, oh, that's vertical. That's a curveball. Oh, hey, that's a fastball with some ride. Maybe that's a fastball with some sink. Like Michaelin is like should be working for the Dodgers in pitch design and pitch development. But
hire me, Diamondbacks.
Yeah, so. We don't need you in baseball. Yeah, we need to blow this podcast up.
Yeah, but, no, I don't actually want to work in baseball. No, if the UFC wanted to hire me,
you'd do it. You know the fight game. Yeah.
I would hop on a mic with Joe Rogan. Doesn't even need to be on his podcast.
Hell yeah, you would.
Just
okay.
chop it up about the fights.
So if that's the case, we're going to really test her knowledge. And today is us making our picks for UFC 303. This is Alex Pereira. I don't know how to say it ever, but it's versus Yuri Prochaska. Ricky Simon versus Vinicius Oliveira.
I chose Oliveira.
I chose Ricky. So we're going to put Ricky Simon right here. We're going to put Oliveira right there.
Don't ask me why I picked Oliveira.
Next one up, Ray Sura versus Carlos Hernandez.
We both picked Ray.
We both picked Ray. Good. Next one up is Andrei Arlovsky versus Martin Bidet.
I picked Andre.
Arlovsky. I picked Martin Bidet. So we're putting those up there. Next one up, Michelle Watterson's fighting. Michelle Watterson was my karate teacher growing up.
Do you have a photo of you guys?
No. I was 10. Like, she doesn't even know I exist. And so...
Well, I was wondering if there's like a photo of you in your little karate uniform. I would love to see that.
Well, there are, I'm sure. But funny story, she used to do these lessons out of her backyard. And so we would be in like her little garage dojo doing karate lessons. And
her dojo, that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm. And if you ask Michelle Watterson, like, she did lessons out of her backyard, I guarantee it. It was her backyard or her coach's backyard, something, but... Go ahead.
I forgot I didn't pick Michelle Watterson. I was going to say we had to pick her because she was your teacher, but I picked Lava Girl.
Yeah, she picked Gillian Robertson. So Gillian and Michelle. But Gillian, I'll put up on the screen right now, she calls Gillian Lava Girl because we didn't have a nickname. And as you can see on the screen right here, why she calls her Lava Girl, but that is a Michaelan Quast nickname.
Yeah, that's a given nickname to her by me. But we knew Michelle Watterson's karate hottie, so I had to feel like I was involved in my pick too, Lava Girl.
Exactly. The next one is Peyton Talbot versus Giannis Kamuri.
We both picked Peyton.
Good. Charles Jourdain versus Gene Silva.
You guys, I'm not switching it up because I'm trying to be a fair girly here. I picked Gene Silva, but I heard he didn't make weight after the fact.
And I took Charles Jourdain, so we got it on the screen. He didn't make weight. I also just think Charles Jourdain is better.
Well, maybe that's all part of his plan.
Maybe it's all part of his plan. It's not.
I think
but
it
we'll
is.
See.
It is.
Okay, Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. Cub Swanson is the OG. I'm a big Cub Swanson fan.
I picked Feely.
And Fili's a favorite, and so it's not a bad pick.
I know, but
I'm taking Cub Swanson.
I'm taking Feely, but...
She's taking Fili.
Wait, can I see one thing?
Of course.
Oh, that's why I picked him. He has 4 inches of a reach.
Oh my God, 4 inches of a reach.
You guys, a reach really matters to me. It really does.
Well, if it matters to you, it matters to me, but I'm still going with Cub Swanson.
Oh, that was sweet.
Okay, so next one up, Joe Pfeiffer versus Marc-Andre Barriault. We both took Joe Pfeiffer.
Joe Pfeiffer.
Why do we love Joe Pfeiffer?
He's training partners with Sean Brady.
And we also love Joe Pfeiffer just because of who he is. But we love Sean Brady.
He's more than just up and coming. I mean, he's doing it.
Yeah, he's fighting Gilbert Burns in his next fight, which is a huge match. It's a main event. I think it's
that was announced.
Yeah, I think it's his first. Yeah, it's announced. His first main event. And Gilbert's a jiu-jitsu specialist. Sean Brady is special in jiu-jitsu. He beat Craig Jones, I think by decision, who is like a jiu-jitsu god. And so they're both just so special. We're taking Joe Pfeiffer on that note.
I'm like, now that I just talked about Sean Brady for 5 minutes.
We love Joe Pfeiffer too, though. Like, he has done everything on his own. He talks about how he had no help coming up, and fighting is like everything to him. And so we love him. He also's got the record for the hardest punch, I think, in the UFC.
Oh yeah, you told me that last night
Francis
on a machine
Ngannou.
or whatever that reads it.
Yeah.
Wait, at like an arcade?
It's not an arcade. It's like at the UFC Institute.
I was making sure it wasn't at like Dave and Buster's that they tested this theory.
Okay, next up, Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Venom Page. For the main card, we're telling you how we think they're gonna win.
2 things. I said this once and I'm gonna say it again. Why did he put Machado in front of Gary?
I don't know. That's a question the world wants to know, honestly. But
well, like, no judgment about how you want to do. It's your name. I just was like curious. I guess it sounds better, but like everyone knew him as Ian Gary for a while, right?
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm just kidding.
Okay, so who are you taking here? Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Venom Page.
Michael Venom Page.
By how?
By knockout. And my reason for this is I actually really like Ian Machado Gary, but Michael Venom Page, this is only his 2nd UFC fight ever. Mm-hmm. He has less to lose, but is like a young, he's hungry. Well, like young in terms of his career in the UFC.
He's only 37 years old.
He's only like ending his career.
Yeah. Ian McGary's only 20. He's only 26 years old. You know, so.
Okay, but all I'm saying is he is fresher into the UFC. I'm saying young in terms of career, not UFC career, not in terms of age.
I hear you.
And so I feel like he just came off a win against Kevin Holland, and he is like this like little giddy thing. He like feels like he belongs. He wants it. He has less like in his ear. I feel like Ian Gary has so much he's like overcoming mentally
So
with how
fair.
people are like viewing him,
Yeah.
that Michael Venom Page is like going to just come in here. He's awkward.
He's elusive, yeah.
Like he reminds me of just like, I can't quite put my finger on who he reminds me of, but it's like
Okay.
aggressive.
I'm taking Ian McGarry versus Michael Venom Page. I'm taking Ian Gary by split decision. And
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said decision last time, but I think
I know
he's-
every time you say it though, I just get shocked. But it is a 3-round fight. You
I
have to
think
keep in mind.
I think it's a 3-round fight, and I think he's going to keep distance, and I think he's going to. I think he's long, and he's going to manage the distance, and
Who has the bigger reach?
Ian Machado Gary. No, Michael Venom Page. Wow, by 5 inches. Good call.
5 inches, and he's an awkward fighter. Give me a break.
Okay, so here's our fights. It's on the screen.
Sorry,
Here's
I
our-
keep cutting
our
you
choices.
off. I
No,
just
you're
feel
good.
passionately about this one. I double locked the door.
Okay. I thought someone was coming in. Mayra Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson.
I chose Macy. I'm not entirely sure why. Just gut feeling.
It's on the screen.
Oh, I'm like this. Where is she?
So,
I chose Macy by decision.
okay, and I'm taking Mayra Bueno Silva by decision. We'll move on. Anthony Lionheart Smith versus Roman Dolidze. And we are both taking Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
But she loves Anthony Smith because when she got into this, we were watching The Embedded. She shared that. But in The Embedded, they like show him with his kids.
So he's the guy with the kids to me forever and always.
Like he's the only guy in the UFC that has kids.
But it's funny because Drake like knows exactly who I'm talking about. Like every single time I'm like, oh, the guy with the kids, and he's like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
And so we're taking Anthony Smith. She picked by decision earlier.
I really like him as well.
He's a jiu-jitsu
No,
specialist.
I chose by submission
But that's what and I chose by decision. I meant
because he's good.
he's very good. And he challenged Alex Pereira to. Alex Pereira gets to start on his back or something. They bet like $10,000 in a jiu-jitsu match. Yeah. So like Anthony Smith is like
$10,000.
so good at jiu-jitsu. So it's a great pick. Moving on, Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega. We really like Brian Ortega, but
I do, but as of late, I feel like he's not the same Brian Ortega.
since he lost to Volk. Yeah.
I don't know him though. He could be even better than he was before.
He's great.
But
We love him, but Diego Lopez is dangerous. And Brian Ortega missed weight. They had to change weight classes.
he's got a lot too going on in his personal life. Anytime they have a lot going on in their personal life, I'm always like,
Yeah. Michaelin's up to speed with what people got going on in their personal lives in the UFC. So,
oh my God.
and so she's got Brian Ortega, or she's got Diego Lopez. I got Diego Lopez. We
By
both
knockout.
Got him by knockout. Good. Add it on the screen, y'all. Last one of the night. We're gonna wrap this up because this is our third time recording this.
Drake is like so over these conversations.
Well, we recorded this whole thing and it was really great, and now here we are again, but good, right?
Good.
The obstacle in the way becomes the way.
Also, we probably needed to go a little bit quicker. So
Yeah. Okay, so Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka. We both love Alex. We saw him fight at Madison Square Garden. He's got a crazy left hand. He's huge.
I don't really like what he did with his wife though, ex-wife now.
Okay. Fight game. So Alex Pereira weighed in last night at 204.5. Today he weighed in at 230. We were talking about how crazy it is, how much bigger he can get. They're both specimens, let's be honest.
But the fact that he just overnight can put that weight back on,
yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Also, I said this last time, and I'm sorry you have to hear it again, but like, if somebody can please explain to me, like in wrestling and like the UFC, if everybody is cutting weight, like why do we cut weight? I understand it's like a skill to be able to cut weight, and like not everybody who's 200 pounds can cut down to like 175 or whatever, like
So
the
bad
crazy
for your
stuff.
health, though, yeah.
But I'm just like, can we, like, these guys do so much to their body with cutting weight and then getting like literally hit in the head. I'm like, can we just take one element of like them being so hard on their body out?
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, and it like really wrecks people. It's a valid question, and there are people that really have that question.
Well, I also am like, how important is it to have that be like an aspect of the fight game? Because like, I feel like a bad cut can like throw a whole fight. And I'm like, is it that important that somebody's good at cutting weight? Like, let them just like do what they're best at. Like, they're not practicing cutting weight, but they're practicing for the fight. I don't know. I just never understood it.
Yeah, it's a valid question. We saw this video on Twitter of Alex Pereira doing the eye, like the face off, and we are so big on that. Like, your body language will tell you a lot about where you're at.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, we'll add it on the screen here. But in this video, you can see Pereira is always the guy that like is taking people's souls, looking them in the eye and taking their souls. And you can feel like his eyes are like a little bit nervous and all over the place. And it's a little bit of anxious energy. I don't know how you can't be anxious in that setting. Like, I think everybody's scared. Some people are just really good at hiding it. And so that's the answer to life, too, is everybody's scared. Everybody's messed up. Some people just hide it better. But typically, Alex Pereira is the guy that hides that and is, like, stoic. And he's not quite as stoic in this video that you guys are seeing here. It's probably on loop.
What's crazy is, like, they have fought before, so they know what it feels like to, like, get touched by
each other.
Yeah, like getting hit, and like that is probably a different layer of like nerves, because it's like you know to some capacity like what you're getting yourself into a little bit.
It's like Volk and Islam when they fought, and Volk like respected him more, but also like had fought him before and maybe didn't respect striking as much, and then Volk goes out there and gets knocked out, gets slept in I think the second or first round. But you remember this, Jiri got cracked and wasn't fully out, and it was like an early stoppage, which leads us into our pick, and it's a surprising pick, but we both think it should be Pereira by knockout, but we're going to both decide that it's going to be
Jiri. Am I saying his name wrong?
I think you can say either.
Okay. By knockout, or our sneaky pick is by submission, but most likely knockout in the third round.
But I think, sneaky pick is he submits him, because I don't think Pereira is that great on the ground, and you got to remember, Jiri, I believe, submitted Glover Teixeira, who is a great grappling. He's great with grappling, great with jiu-jitsu, and got submitted by Jiri in their title fight. That's how Jiri got the belt. And so...
And Glover and Pereira trained together.
And Glover is Pereira's coach. And so I really do think part of the game plan is going to be getting him to the ground. However, Yuri's the killer, but I think Jiri knocks him out or submits him. But there's always that threat that it might be a knockout by Pereira. So those are our picks.
We'll see how well we do.
Yeah, this will be kind of a thing that we do maybe weekly, maybe on the big cards, but we're going to start kind of vlogging this and documenting this because...
Giving our relationship advice.
I like to think that I can see the fight game so clearly, and...
It's also just fun.
It's also just fun. So that's
Go
what we got
watch
for
Embedded.
today. Yeah, watch Embedded. Leave us a comment.
On what we should name this series.
And maybe, like, who makes better picks.
Me.
Also,
Duh.
Like it, subscribe, share it with other people. We're going to be doing more of this. We would love your support. We're happy to have you with us. And
Thanks
cheers.
for hanging out. Yeah. May the best man win.